You are listening to Mindshock. This is Most Bizarre Bigfoot Encounters, Episode 2. I am Bruce McGuire.
And Maxwell Powers.
And we are going to go over a mind-boggling, mind-shocking encounter that will have jaws hitting the floor. You guys are not going to be ready for this one. It is almost beyond belief. As always, if you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Just check the link in the description. Make sure you're subscribed to the channel. Hit the bell for notifications. If you like the podcast, hit the like button. Feel free to share it across social media platforms. Make sure to like our Facebook page. You can also check us out Twitter, Reddit, Patreon. Just check the description. All right, Maxwell, what did you think of our last most bizarre encounter with the Sasquatch throwing her babies straight up a mountain? That was pretty insane, right?
Yeah, that was pretty interesting.
If you guys haven't checked out episode 1 of this series, check that out. Also, if you haven't checked out the Bigfoot UFO Connection podcast, check that out on the channel. It's one of the older ones, but I go over Stan Gordon, a renowned UFO researcher who actually investigated Bigfoot associated with UFO sightings in Pennsylvania. Do you know about this, Maxwell?
No.
Yeah, there are some theories that Bigfoot are alien beings or some kind of pets by aliens. Like, instead of taking them for a walk, they like drop them off on planet Earth for a little bit and then either pick them up or abandon them. Who knows?
That's interesting.
Yeah, so this account comes from the Bigfoot book, The Encyclopedia of Sasquatch, Yeti, and Cryptid Primates by Nick Redfern. Stan Gordon, the United States' leading researchers of the stranger sides of the Bigfoot phenomenon. And they don't come much stranger than a case that Gordon investigated in late 1973 in his home state of Pennsylvania. It's important to note that the case in question was one of dozens that Gordon received from 1972 to 1974, which collectively suggested the presence of unknown hairy man-beasts all across Pennsylvania. Many of the cases that Gordon investigated, however, were dominated by phenomena that, for many Bigfoot investigators, fell outside one would call the norm, including a certain event that occurred at Fayette County in October 1973. It was the dark night of October 25th when all hell broke loose in the heart of the county. The primary player in the story was one Steve Palmer, who was both amazed and frightened to see a brightly illuminated UFO hovering over local farmland around 9 p.m. But that wasn't all that Palmer encountered. A pair of immense ape-like animals with very long and muscular arms surfaced out of the shadows of the dark field and proceeded to walk right towards Palmer himself. He wasted no time and blasted them with a salvo of bullets. Is that what you would do, Maxwell? You see a UFO in the sky, and then all of a sudden, two Bigfoot come at you with long muscular arms. You're just gonna start shooting them?
I don't know if I can feel a threat. I don't know.
But what would you do if you saw a UFO and then two Bigfoot just coming at you?
If I had a gun, I might shoot if they look like they're gonna kill me. I'd save myself first.
Very weirdly, the bullets appeared to have no effect at all on either creature, and they retreated into the darkness. That's kind of weird, though. If the bullets have no effect, why would they retreat? Unless they just ate all the bullets, he ran out of bullets, then they just kind of looked around, lost interest, and went into the darkness? I don't know, it doesn't really elaborate on that. The UFO did likewise, vanishing in an instant. That was not the end of the affair, however. Approximately 4 hours later, things took on an even stranger and far more terrifying proportion. It was roughly 1 a.m. when Stan Gordon arrived on the scene. Now, that's a dedicated researcher. I mean, he's there within hours. Having been alerted to the Palmer encounter by a local police officer who had been apprised of the facts. Along with Gordon were fellow investigators Dennis Smeltzer, Fred Pitt, David Smith, and George Lutz. They met with Palmer, who proceeded to tell them of his unearthly encounter with the Bigfoot and the UFO. Then, quite out of the blue, something horrifying occurred. Palmer's breathing changed to the extent that he was literally panting heavily and deeply, and he broke into a deep, guttural growl and knocked both his own father and Lutz to the field floor. And that was only the start of things. Pitt found himself unable to breathe properly. Smeltzer felt faint, and Palmer fell to the ground, having apparently passed out. A powerful, rotten odor of brimstone suddenly dominated the cold night air. The terrified group knew it was vital then to get out of the field, and quickly, too, before things got even worse. Later, when Palmer regained consciousness, he told Gordon and his team that he, Palmer, while in his passed out state, had seen before him a sickle carrying, dark robed figure that warned him the human race was on the verge of destroying itself and would do exactly that unless it curbed its violent instincts. So what do you make of this, Maxwell? We have a UFO, we have a Bigfoot, we have a possible demonic possession, and now we have the Grim Reaper himself warning Palmer that the human race would destroy itself. Where's your credibility meter right now, Maxwell?
Out of 10, maybe like a 4.
That's not too bad. I think most people would drop straight to 0. I think most people would start off with the UFO, maybe even a 9. The 2 Bigfoot, that's quite interesting. I mean, how often are Bigfoot spotted in pairs? I would say that's probably pretty rare. That'd probably drop it to 876. And then with the Grim Reaper, I think most people would drop to 0. That only dropped you to 4.
Wait, is it described as the real Grim like Reaper with the freaking hood and the no face and the sky thing?
This is what this account says. Okay, when you ask these
Uh,
questions about described,
I
I just read it, so it's described as whatever I read. That's the only information there is. I'll say it again. A sickle carrying, dark robed figure.
huh.
Dark robed
That's
figure carrying a sickle. I mean, that's the Grim Reaper,
wait.
man.
Is what's a sickle? Is that the same thing as a scythe?
Uh it's the staff with the curved blade. Yes.
Okay.
So that's the Grim Reaper. It's described as basically the Grim Reaper. So that only
Yeah.
dropped you to a 4?
0.6.
Okay, you dropped to a 0.6, but that means, okay, what do you make of these people not being able to breathe and passing out? Because they didn't fake that. So
These
nobody saw the Grim Reaper except for Palmer.
so these are many people's accounts, not just Palmer.
Were you not paying attention, Maxwell?
No, or I was, but like I don't remember.
There's like 2 paragraphs. Okay.
Wait, how many people were there?
Okay, so let me just do a quick recap for you, even though this whole thing's basically a recap. At 9 p.m., he sees the UFO and the Bigfoot. Okay? He shoots at them, bullets have no effect, they retreat into the darkness, UFO disappears. So apparently he informed the police because a police officer informed UFO researcher Stan Gordon. Stan Gordon arrives at 1 a.m. with fellow investigators Smeltzer, Pitt, Smith, and Lutz. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 UFO investigators. And then Palmer and his father are also there. So there's 7 total people or more. I don't know if the officer's there at the time. It says he was alerted by the officer. It doesn't say the officer was there. So there's about 7 people here. So they all smell the foul stench. They all see Palmer knocking down his father and Lutz, one of the other researchers. And then Pitt can't breathe, Smeltzer's feeling lightheaded and faint, and Palmer passes out. Now, while Palmer is passed out, that's when he says he saw the Grim Reaper. So he's the only one, according to this account, unless the others did also and they didn't say it because they were afraid to, who knows.
Okay.
So all of this, so apparently he really did go crazy, attack his father, whatever. Sounds like some kind of demonic possession, but are you still at a 0.6?
Is that too much?
I would say that's a little low if we're just talking a bad smell. I mean, foul odors are associated with UFOs quite often. Where did you say you were with just the UFO and the 2 Bigfoot that he shot at? Was that a 6 for you? Is that what you said?
I think I said 4.
No, that I think that you said that after the Grim Reaper.
I don't remember. I went from 4 to 0.6.
Well, I'll ask you again then. Just the UFO and the 2 Bigfoot.
5.
So it drops when there's more witnesses for you?
I didn't remember the first time you asked me what the details were, and then I got caught up with the details.
Okay,
I don't
but
know.
now you know. Now you know all the details, right?
So it's like UFO, 2 Bigfoot, and fucking shot at them, and the fucking UFO left with the fucking Bigfoot, right?
Correct.
And then a fucking Reaper shows up and shit.
Well, at 1 a.m., Stan Gordon arrives with 4 fellow investigators. And then Palmer is there with his father, and they all witness the aftermath. Only Palmer claims to see the Grim Reaper.
I don't know. Is it that important what my scale is on this thing? I mean, I don't know. Like a 3? I don't know. 2.
So you think they're all lying about Palmer growling and hitting his own father and one of the researchers?
Oh, they all said that shit? That he did that?
Okay, this part is not quite this part is pretty much undisputed. Okay, I don't know you man, Maxwell, you're killing me.
Yeah, but
Okay, okay.
I didn't know they were reporting that detail. I thought they were just reporting the fucking. I thought that dude Palmer just reported the fucking Reaper, and then no one else experienced the same. But you're saying
No,
is
no,
that
no. Nobody.
he started attacking the father with all the 5 witnesses and shit.
All right, let me go over it again just for you. At 1 a.m., Stan Gordon showed up. Okay, he showed up with 4 researchers: Smeltzer, Pitt, Smith, and Lutz. Palmer was there with his father, and Palmer told them about the encounter. Then all of a sudden, Palmer's breathing changed to the extent that, so they're all watching him do this. Palmer's breathing changed to the extent that he was literally panting heavily and deeply, and he broke into a deep guttural growl and knocked both his own father and Lutz to the field floor. Then Pitt couldn't breathe, Smeltzer felt faint, and Palmer fell to the ground, apparently having passed out. A powerful rotten odor of brimstone suddenly dominated the cold night air. The terrified group knew that it was vital they get out of the field, and quickly too, before things got even worse. Later, when Palmer regained consciousness, he told Gordon and his team that while passed out, he had seen before him a sickle-carrying dark-robed figure that warned him the human race was on the verge of destroying itself and would do exactly that unless it curbed its violent instincts. Did you get all that?
Oh, that's kind of cool. So like he was well, yeah, that's cool.
Well,
That's a
why
good
didn't you just
it's a
pay
good
that? Why
story.
didn't you pay that close attention the first time I read it?
I don't know. That's the pattern so far.
Yeah, you got to fix that pattern.
I can't control that. I don't know how to control it. I
Well, you
snap.
just did. You
And
just
then
paid attention.
but that's after the second time. So it's never the first time. So and I try to pretend that it's the first or the third time, but it doesn't work.
Okay, so there's a lot of witnesses to. So there were no witnesses to the UFO or the 2 Bigfoot other than Palmer. There were all these witnesses to Palmer starting to growl, hitting his father, this other guy, and passing out, and the odor. And one of the researchers couldn't breathe, and the other one was feeling faint. So this isn't just Palmer. There's a bunch of witnesses here. So you're saying This whole account, all that whole thing, you don't believe it at all? You think they're all lying about that?
No, that's pretty good because you have five motherfuckers like saying the same shit. So I'm cool.
So you're not at a
I'm cool.
0.6?
So we're at 9.6.
Oh, wow. So you go from 0.6 to 9.6?
Well, 9.6 just because five motherfuckers saying the same shit.
Ah, gotcha. Okay. Now, that's not the end of the account. Even stranger than that, a couple of weeks later, Palmer was visited at his home by two Air Force officers, one in uniform, the other in plain clothes. That's kind of interesting. It became very clear and very quickly that the pair knew all about Palmer's weird encounter and the later experience. They even confided in him that they knew that both UFOs and Sasquatch were genuine. Why does the Air Force care about Sasquatch? That's not airspace, right? Unless they know they're UFOs or unless they're transported on UFOs to Earth. What do you make of that?
Yeah, it's kind of weird. Um, yeah.
That's weird, yeah. There was a specific reason for the visit. First, they showed Palmer a number of photos of Bigfoot creatures and wanted to know if the beast he encountered resembled them. Second, they asked if Palmer would be willing to be placed in a hypnotic state to ensure that the military secured all the relevant data. Palmer agreed. And with all the information in hand, the two men got up, thanked Palmer, and left. Despite telling Palmer they would keep him informed of any future developments, they failed to do so. He never saw them again. It was a fitting end to a case steeped in mystery. So, what do you make of that?
Um, I don't know, dude.
Good thing you're doing a podcast. You have no thoughts whatsoever on this incredibly bizarre Bigfoot encounter. I mean, this is one of the most bizarre encounters ever recorded, and you don't know.
What I think about it, I mean, it's interesting. I mean, it's some dude meets the Reaper and with five motherfuckers witnessing that, and
The Reaper is the least relevant part of this whole story.
oh well, how many motherfuckers saw the two Bigfoot go into the UFO and shit?
Just okay. First of all, nobody saw them go into the UFO. He
Okay,
said they came
so
at. He said a UFO appeared in the sky. The Bigfoot appeared from the darkness. I'm guessing the trees or the hills or wherever. He didn't see them go in the UFO, according to this account.
oh,
It
so
was
it
just
could be
him. It
coincidental and
was
shit.
just him at 1 a.m. So this is like the fifth time I'm going over this. At 1 a.m. is when the researchers showed up to interview him about this account. And that's when he went crazy and started growling and hitting people and then lost consciousness. While he lost consciousness is when he said he saw the Reaper. So that might not even be related to this, right? That could have just been a bad dream, right? I mean, I'm sure people have bad dreams like that.
Yeah.
So you have no thoughts whatsoever on one of the most bizarre accounts ever.
Um. It's interesting. I mean, it's some dude. I don't know. It's Bigfoot with two UFOs coincidentally fucking, or a UFO just happens to leave the place.
Do you think the UFO was coincidental and it had nothing to do with the Bigfoot?
It it's possible like the UFO distracted the Bigfoot and the Bigfoot left the fucking forest and then tried to attack the people and then
Actually,
they
the
left.
Bigfoot actually it was the other way around. I mean, the UFO showed up first before the Bigfoot.
So
So
that's what I mean. Like they got scared by the UFO. They started running. They started panicking to the people because they hate people anyway. But like they're probably saying, "Yo, help me the fuck out! This disc flying motherfucker tried to attack me and shit." And
wait,
then
so hold on a second. Do you think UFOs abduct Bigfoot for experiments, and the Bigfoot were running for safety to human to the human?
that's possible because like Bigfoot hates humans and shit. They just tell them to leave their area and shit. Like they start throwing rocks at them so they leave their territory. And then I mean the only reason I think they would fucking go to a human is when they're being attacked themselves by aliens and shit. And then they're probably asking for help. Yo, help me the fuck out. This big-eyed motherfucker like came out and fucking started putting a probe up my ass and shit.
You think UFOs are anal probing Bigfoot?
I don't fucking know, dude.
That's the new Maxwell. That's the uh that's the new Maxwell Powers theory. UFOs abducting Bigfoot. Okay, some people would say that Bigfoot might be UFO genetic experiments by aliens, and they just unleash them on the Earth. Or here's another thing I just thought of though. What if the UFO was kind of monitoring Bigfoot? Maybe they do abduct him. Maybe they have him chipped. Maybe the UFOs just show up from other dimensions for entertainment and they want to watch Bigfoot kill humans. So it's like they pulled up to get a front row seat with popcorn to watch the Bigfoot go kill Palmer. And then when the big Do you think that could happen?
I missed the beginning part, but something about Palmer and shit. Like, you think what? I didn't get the joke.
Well, it wasn't really a joke. I'm just theorizing. What if the UFOs come from some other dimension and they watch Bigfoot kill humans for entertainment? So they just pulled up in the night sky with a front row seat with popcorn, and they're like, "Let's see what these Bigfoot do to this Palmer human guy."
Oh man. So they come to planet Earth to entertain themselves. So they probably have like a touring fucking UFO and shit. They probably pay like, you know, uh, uh, like $1 million to travel to Earth or some shit, or like they're worth whatever the $1 million is worth to them and shit. And then,
You mean you don't think they're on American currency?
nah, they have their own alien currency, like fucking some fucked up like advanced Bitcoin and shit.
All right, no, but or if they're providing the Bigfoot, so if they kind of unleash their own creatures, they drop the Bigfoot off, and then they just pulled back in the night sky, and they're like, "Let's see what the Bigfoot does to this human," and then the humans start shooting bullets at them, but the bullets have no effect. What do you make of that? If Bigfoot were flesh and blood, if Bigfoot, so we have to discuss that. And this isn't the first account. There have been quite a few accounts out there where people have said that bullets had no effect on Bigfoot. Like it just didn't even notice the bullets hitting them. Does that mean this is some kind of interdimensional or non-physical creature?
It's possible.
Or do
It
they
just
have or do they just have like Kevlar skin from some kind of bizarre evolution or genetic engineering to make them bulletproof and not feel pain?
and those are interesting theories.
Yeah, I mean, what else? If it was just
It's
like a
like like
regular
like
bear,
each of those theories are kind of like a movie and shit.
it'd make a good movie. That'd make a good video game. Okay, so and what do you make of the Air Force officers? So one of them is in uniform, one is in plain clothes. How often does that happen? And then they hypnotize them to get information. I mean, this whole thing. This is just like this bizarre Bigfoot encounter. It's like three pieces of this story, and all of them are unbelievable. I wonder what the researchers had to say about this. The other thing that's bizarre is this is not a talked about case. There's not a lot of people talking about this case for some reason. So the only other account I could find was also by Redfern, where he wrote about this in True Stories of Real Life Monsters. It's mostly the same information, but included in the people with whom Stan Gordon had been liaising during this time period was a man given the pseudonym of Steve Palmer, so that was not his real name, who had been a witness to both UFO and Bigfoot activity at the same time on the night of October 25th, 1973, in Fayette County. It was approximately 9 p.m. when Palmer had a close encounter on farmland with a large luminous object and two very tall, dark figures with extremely long arms and eyes that glowed an eerie bright green. So that's a new one. So in this book, Redfern claims that they had bright green eyes. Now, green is usually associated with aliens. So, are these Bigfoot alien creatures from another planet? Are they kind of just using the Earth as some kind of bizarre zoo where they drop off dangerous animals that they don't want on their own planet or dimension? As the beast moved forward across the fields of the farm in Palmer's direction, he opened fire with his rifle. The creatures, apparently utterly unharmed by the bullets, simply turned on their tails and vanished back into the cover of darkness. Likewise, with regard to the UFO itself, it was a case of here 1 second and gone the next. Perhaps even stranger than that was what happened around 1 a.m. when Stan Gordon visited Palmer after getting a phone call from a state trooper who had been out to the site in order to get the full details of what had occurred only a few hours previously. Gordon and several colleagues, including George Lutz, a former Air Force pilot, a photographer named Fred Pitt, a physics teacher by the name of David Smith, and Dennis Smeltzer, a sociology major, headed out to meet with Palmer at the site of the extraordinary encounter when something amazingly bizarre happened. While they were walking around the field where the events of several hours earlier had taken place, Palmer was suddenly transported into some nightmarish, altered state of mind and started breathing very heavily and deeply. He started to growl in a decidedly savage, animalistic fashion, almost as though he were demonically possessed, and then violently threw both his own father and Lutz to the ground. Things then went from bad to even worse. Smeltzer began to feel lightheaded. Pitt had trouble breathing. Palmer keeled over face first, and the whole area became saturated with an odor akin to that of rotten eggs, sulfur, or perhaps devilish brimstone might be a far more accurate and apt description. You know what's weird? So people who think that aliens are demons and everything, all monsters are demons, everything is demonic. Rotten eggs or sulfur is usually the smell that's reported in any kind of demonic activity, paranormal activity, ghost activity, alien activity. Do you think that's weird or what? Like, what's this connection to sulfur?
Yes, that is kind of weird because I heard you say that before that it's related to those sightings.
I mean, it's been reported in all of these phenomena all across the world for hundreds of years. This sulfur smell is not a new thing. It's been associated with the paranormal for quite some time. No theories on that, Maxwell?
Uh,
Clearly, it was time for them to get the hell out of the field, which they did. After he recovered from the shock, Palmer told the group that while in his bizarre altered state, he encountered a black robed figure carrying a sickle, no less, that warned him that if humankind did not change its ways, the world would soon come to a terrible end. It was, to put it concisely, quite a night. But it was not the end of things. Around 2 weeks later, Palmer got a knock at the door of his home. Opening it, he was confronted by two men, one dressed in a regular suit and the other in the easily recognizable uniform of an Air Force officer. They were there to talk about Palmer's experience in the field on that terrifying night. They confided in him that he should not consider himself crazy for one very good reason. The Air Force secretly knew that Bigfoot and UFOs were all too real. This became graphically and memorably apparent when the man in uniform pulled out of his briefcase a number of photographs, some of which showed strange objects in the skies, UFOs. But what really stood out were the photos displaying Goliath sized, hair covered man beasts that, as Palmer was informed, had been taken around various parts of the United States. One picture, as Palmer recalls, was particularly memorable. It came from somewhere in Georgia and appeared to have captured a Bigfoot carrying a pig under one of its arms. The mysterious duo, who clearly evoked the classic Men in Black archetype, even if their clothing did not, wanted to know two things. One, did any of the creatures Palmer saw on the night in question resemble those shown in the photographs? And two, would he consent to being hypnotized? Well, yes, the creatures were similar to those Palmer encountered, and yes, he would agree to be hypnotized, if only to ensure that the Air Force had all the information on what had occurred. After the session was over and the pair was seemingly satisfied with the data and results obtained, they thanked Palmer and went on their way, promising to be back in touch. They never did. The whole unsettling affair remains a mystery to this very day. Evidence of the Air Force taking a secret interest in Bigfoot in the 1970s is not limited to the discoveries of Stan Gordon. In the early 90s, British UFO researcher and authority Timothy Good focused much of his time investigating stories of UFO encounters, disturbing mutilations of farm animals, and Bigfoot sightings, all of which occurred on a Colorado ranch back in the mid 70s. One of the people involved, a rancher named Jim, made inquiries with an officer from a nearby Air Force installation about what was afoot and was told that the base had had its share of troublesome UFO incidents and that directives existed on how to deal with them. The officer also asked Jim if he had experienced any trouble with Bigfoot. Apparently, the Air Force had directives on those elusive creatures too. This is what Good stated in 1991. So it seems like the Air Force has had a long-standing protocol for dealing with Bigfoot. This is quite bizarre. What do you think about that?
Yeah, it's crazy.
You falling asleep there, Maxwell?
Yeah, I'm yawning a little bit.
Are these accounts not exciting enough for you? They're not edge of your seat riveting?
I'm just trying to follow, man.
Similarly, Jack Lapseritis, a Bigfoot researcher who believes the creatures to be highly advanced psychic entities with direct links to the UFO controversy, has stated the following. After giving a lecture in Los Angeles in 1994, a well-educated man cautiously approached me. He began by saying, "Are you aware that everything you stated in your lecture about a Bigfoot UFO connection is true and that the CIA knows all about it?" The man further informed Lepseritis that he had a friend, a psychic, who had been secretly contracted by the CIA to try and locate a Bigfoot for them. This is kind of new. The CIA is hunting Bigfoot. Why is the CIA hunting Bigfoot? They're an international agency. Wouldn't it be the FBI that was going to be hunting Bigfoot? The operation was reportedly a success. The beast's lair was found, unless it was in Canada. And after being hit by one of the jeeps involved in the operation, it was captured and deemed to have otherworldly origin. To be sure, it's a brief story, lacking in full description and data regarding how the military knew the creature to be of an unearthly nature, but it's one that does dovetail with what we have already seen. Just to add a bit more confusion into the mix, there is the story of the late Gabe Valdez, who in 2009 revealed he had uncovered information that led him to believe that many New Mexico-based Bigfoot sightings were actually the covert work of an arm of the US government that possessed the ability to create holographic imagery of the hairy man beasts. Whoa, we didn't discuss this. Is Bigfoot a hologram?
Yeah, that's a good new episode.
Oh man, that would explain why the bullets have no effect on them, wouldn't it? That would explain why they don't leave any kind of hair or feces or blood samples. I mean, in some cases they do, but in most cases they seem not to. I mean, that does connect a lot of the dots, right? If they're holographic,
Yeah,
that's a pretty crazy theory.
yeah,
The purpose to scare people and deter them from getting too close to some of its secret underground bunker installations. Before you simply dismiss Valdez's assertions, it's worth noting that he was a highly respected police officer in New Mexico for years, and he was extensively consulted by the FBI in the late 70s when the northern part of the state was hit by a particularly widespread and large number of what have infamously become known as cattle mutilations. That's pretty bizarre stuff, Maxwell. That's pretty bizarre stuff. What do you think about all this? Or are Bigfoot holograms made by the aliens to kind of just mess with humans because they're bored? Is that their version of playing video games? Is this all an alien version? Is Bigfoot an alien version of video games?
it's like reverse predator or like passive predator movie. Like they they'll do holograms of Bigfoot rather than the aliens coming down with their own weapons hunting down him, or I don't know.
Yeah, this is all very, very, very bizarre. Possibly one of the most bizarre Bigfoot encounters of all time. We hope you enjoyed another edition of the Mindshock podcast. If you like the podcast, you can donate to our PayPal. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. If you liked the podcast, hit the like button. Feel free to share it. Any thoughts, comments, questions, theories, just drop them in the comments section. Or if you've had your own encounter that is even more bizarre than these, feel free to share it. And we will go over it as well. Make sure to like our Facebook page. You could also check us out, Twitter, Reddit, Patreon. This is Bruce McGuire signing off.
And Maxwell Powers.
We'll catch you guys next time.